Jay Sands, his show, and they were talking about doing something positive for Spreaker. And they started mentioning fundraisers. I said, what about Wounded Warriors? I said, everybody can get behind that. And that's exactly how I said it. What about Wounded Warriors? Everybody can get behind that. There's soldiers, you're helping them physically and emotionally with the programs that they provide. It's a vetted service. Why don't we look into that? And of course, Ernie really liked the idea. And Jay Sands, I mean, no one that was on that group call, everybody loved the idea of Wounded Warriors. But that came out of the thing, let's do something positive, because Debbie was turning it all into a negative war. That's all she was talking about. This person hates you. That person hates you. You're awful. You should kill yourself. She was saying shit like that, and it needed to stop. To put the focus on something positive. And that's what should be done.
Yeah, they raised over
2,000. I think it was 2,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You actually put some money in for me, and I thought that was so sweet. I think, what was it, $50 or $70? It was a pretty big amount.
I think Goofy Bone put quite a bit in, too.
He did. There is somebody in the chat room. Let's see who. Let's see if it's the bitch. Oh, I can't find my chat room.
It's just me.
Oh, okay. My goodness. Well, I always have a good time talking to you, and just be careful of the dumpster. No, you had your show and I called in. And we've chatted in chat rooms where you were nice enough to read that article. I still haven't forgotten that, because that was a long article.
Well, I was probably it was well written. I don't know. I'm not speaking of content. I'm just speaking of the execution.
Mm-hmm. She's a good writer. A lot of them are good writers, like Ginger Taylor at the Canary Party. You don't know these people, though. But she has a website, the person that wrote that, and it's called vaxtruth.org. So, yeah, she does. She's pretty out there, though. Like, she compared being vaccinated to being raped. That was a little bit extreme. That's the only article that I really would not endorse. But everything else I liked.
She has an article about CDC whistleblower, isn't that you? Or is that just the hashtag?
It's the movement. It's a movement. It's not just it's the hashtag CDC whistleblower, but it's also a movement to get the congressional hearings. This is our best chance. This may be our last chance to get anything really done. So that's why some of us are literally working every single day to make those impressions even larger. For a group of people to create 1 billion impressions, that's going to say something. That's going to say a part of the population really cares about this, and you should hear our voice. And we have a scientist that's a whistleblower who still works at the CDC, and he has to be compelled to testify, meaning they can slap a restraining order on him so he can't talk in public, but he can at Congress. Does that make sense?
So he can talk to Congress?
Yes. Because otherwise the CDC will slap a restraining order on him.
But they can't stop him from speaking in Congress. So
No.
Will the congressional testimony be public, or will it be
Would be public.
No, I've been looking at articles, and it's just true. The more you write, the better writer you are, because
True.
although there are students out there who, for some reason, never learn to write, and they always, everything's in passive voice, and it's difficult to read, but she's very good. She's a very active voice writer.
For who?
You want to continue reading just because of how well she writes. So.
Yeah.
Here's what she's saying. And that's one thing about the internet is, even casual users of it, like yourself or me, whatever, we get to write every day, and we have to write every day to participate in the internet, I think.
Mm-hmm. And if you hone your craft, and writing as a craft, you can do very well. You really don't need your bachelor's degree, though it helps. I'm still trying to get a script sold to Showtime, but I had 2 actually that I wrote. One's not finished. What?
the script. Wasn't that the whole? Oh my god.
No, I wrote 2.
Yeah. We heard about your script.
No, I wrote 2 different scripts on 2 different premises.
Okay.
I know.
For like pilot for a series or.
For a series on Showtime. One was about a homeschool mom, which I thought could be mainstream, also primetime. About a homeschool mom that went through a series of emotional developments. Like there was a time that she had 2 husbands in the house. She was still homeschooling, still going to the church series. Then she decided she was this big-time Christian, kicked the other husband out, the one that wasn't legal. And then she went back to her pagan ways. She first started out as a pagan, by the way, and they lived in a barn. And all these were actually based on fact. Then she becomes transgender, and she's fighting her transgender situation by attacking a young girl by saying that she's really a boy, she's transgender. And all this happened, and I thought, this is too good not to write about. Just fell into my lap. Having the name India, even that name, it's kind of cool. So I kept the name as India, and I changed some of the facts and the location where it happened, so no one would think it was her. But she still gives me information, still gives me drama in her life because she puts it out there. It's just too good not to write about.
So this is based on a real person. So
yeah,
you
I'd have to give her money. And I have no problem with that. I'm not the type of person that will base a character on someone and then not do anything about it, just steal their life, basically. Because I think that's morally wrong, But even the one about the sex cam workers was so good because it was based on these 2 premises that no one wants to be alone and everybody wants to be loved. So the people that were the sex cam workers and then the people watching, it was flipped on one side of the screen to the other, and it was paired together. And some of the situations were very serious. One of the sex cam girls was getting choked out by her boyfriend, and someone that's watching knew her phone number, was able to call 911. This really happened, and I watched it happen and called 911, and you can hear the police breaking in, and then the cam is knocked over, so you just see the carpet, but you can hear the sobbing of her, the police. You had the right to remain silent, and da 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 da. And no one turned off the cam, and we could hear the whole thing. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. I'm still in contact with those 5 main characters that I based their characters off of.
Right on. Well, people like to watch TV shows about fringe, obviously fringe people. That's why all those what are those strange addiction shows, or the or like the Mormon show on HBO, or that people just they want something different than their own life to look at.
Right. And if you can base it like on those 2 premises that no one wants to be alone and everybody wants to be loved. Everybody can identify with that.
If that's true, why do so many people have issues with their families then, which is the greatest source of love and the easiest way not to be alone?
Well, when you truly love, you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable and open to being hurt. And sometimes when a person gets hurt in their family, they never get over it.
Okay, so why can't you get hurt by people who aren't your family and have the same reaction then?
I think when it's your family, it hurts more deeply. Like if someone's critical of, I don't know, let's say that you're an artist and someone's critical in your family of your artwork, it may hurt more because you expect them, it's about expectations, you expect them to love and adore what you do because you're their family, you're their daughter, you're their sister, their brother, their father, whatever the case may be. It comes down to expectations, and when a person has expectations, more often than not, they get disappointed. That's what happens in relationships. They expect so much, Like, let's say they get married, the woman's expected to be pampered, the man's expecting a sex fiend, and neither one of those really work. If you're thinking that, that you're thinking you're going to be living at the Four Seasons. No, that very rarely happens. You have to be realistic, and be in the moment. And so few people are not in the moment. They're in fantasy because that's the way our culture has designed it for them.
But I think you can develop you're right. You develop expectations for people who are outside your family and get disappointed.
Yes.
It's become very easy not to engage other people who are not.
Yeah.
That's why the internet's so good, because you have control over how much you engage.
Well, do you? I mean, once you put your stuff out there, that's like the rabbi that told the woman she was complaining about gossip. She was telling that someone else was gossiping and she needs to be stopped. And he told her some unusual directions. She lived on the 3rd floor in the Brooklyn area in New York. And she climbs the stairs because the elevator wasn't working. She takes a pillow.
Well, is this like a made up story for instructional purposes, or is it real?
My understanding, it was real at one time, and that it kind of deviated from the reality. Like the 3rd floor probably is not true. But she did live on a floor where they had the laundry line that went from one building to another. The type of laundry line that you would see in New York. It has the little crank thing where you can dry your clothes on the laundry line. But it was a real woman, and it was a real rabbi. The real name of the rabbi has been lost since, I think it was the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken. And he tells her to go to her apartment and take a pillow, cut it open, and release the feathers. Sometimes rabbis would tell people odd things to do, kind of like a spell, if you will. So she does this, and she returns back to the rabbi, I think it was like a day or two later. And she tells him that I've released all the feathers from the pillow. What do I do now? And then he does the one-liner, now put them all back. And then was his moral lesson about gossip. Once you put it out there, you can never take it back. And that is so true. That is so true. So...
Well, I think you're fortunate that a lot of the gossip about you no one believes, so it seems a little too fantastical.
About what?
I don't think anybody, or most people don't actually believe a lot of gossip.
The dumpster?
No, anyone. I mean, anyone on Spreaker who gets gossiped about to an nth degree.
Well, I think it's not so much now because, people have said such fantastical things. I know the dumpster has said outrageous things. She had people believing on BTR, this is before I knew you couldn't talk about someone else, that she had filed a restraining order against me. For almost 2 years, people come, doesn't that lady have a restraining order against you? And I was like, no. Where I live, you have to get a protective order. There's not even a restraining order available in my area. She even got the jargon wrong, and they still believed her. It was just crazy. So, that's life. But my stories do not change. Hers definitely do.
Wow. So the consistency establishes the veracity.
Well, with all my medications, all my memory problems, you think if I made it up, I wouldn't be able to remember it or keep it in line. And I've been able to. I've been able to keep all my stories true because they are true. Yeah, it's too much work to keep a lie up, if you ask me, I think. But I don't know. Maybe she can do it. But she gets caught in her lies within 2 or 3 sentences. When she does lie, it's very easy to track her lies.
Oh no, someone on the internet isn't being honest. What shall we do?
Well, is she calling your family? She called my family. She called my then 14-year-old daughter. No ifs, ands, or buts. She did.
How old's your daughter now? And is she single?
She's still a child. She's still a minor, so it doesn't matter if she's single or not.
She's 16 in Michigan. 16. She's got to be at least 16 by now, right?
Oh, no, come on. No, we're not going to talk about that.